But one of the things that I found that agents fall down on is their online identity. All right, and it really starts with how you're perceived online. And so I've got this slide presentation that I put together years ago, and it's still relevant. And we'll do some live Google searches too to see how it's changed over the past 4 years. But it's very relevant. How many of you have got a written bio?
I do.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So now my internet's, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, so how many of you have put that on all your social media, all the, your Zillow, Realtor.com, all your online portals?
I got them everywhere.
Okay, and when was the last time any of us actually looked at that stuff, right? Because as I went through this morning and I was kind of going through some of my older profiles, I even found one, it was pretty interesting as I'm Googling myself, I found one for active rain. How many of you remember active rain?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, right? And that actually came up on the first page of Google when you searched me. And I haven't been on that page, well, I've been on it this morning now, but I hadn't been on it probably 4 or 5 years since I'd done anything on that. So I know that it isn't updated to where it needs to be. And so what I want to do today is kind of go through why you want your online identity and where we need to look and kind of first steps or steps to continue to go through and make sure that we're set up. So I'm going to share my screen here, first of all. All right, so our agenda will be really referrals in the digital age and what millennials are doing differently. Let me ask you a question. Do you think that consumers today, when they're searching property, if there is no photos on a property, that they're spending any time looking at the information?
No.
Okay.
No way.
Right? And so, and most consumers are probably starting their search online before they talk to a realtor. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so where I'm going with this is the fact that if you don't have your profile up on all your sites, how many referrals do you think you're going to get from other agents?
Not many.
Not many, right? And how many consumers, when they're doing research on people, are going to give you even the time of day to actually read what you put down there if you don't put a good photo up?
Mm-hmm.
So it's important that we update that. And then we're going to talk about how to translate word of mouth into word of click, right? And that would be more of your reviews. And then we're going to talk about a 10-step bio writing checklist that I'm going to provide to you. And actually, I've got a manual or a little booklet that you guys can take away from this to actually start working on that. Because you might have a bio, maybe it's not written well, maybe it's written real well, but this will take you through some steps to kind of look at that and maybe you want to adjust it. And then we're going to use using content to land on the page 1 of Google. Now, I'm not a miracle worker, and I'm not here to tell you that if somebody types in Las Vegas real estate, Tim Lowe is going to appear on the first page. Right. The way I can get Tim Lowe on the first page of Las Vegas real estate is ad buy, right? But it may not be where you want to be because it's going to be super expensive because they do what's kind of a bidding process, and you're going to compete against a lot of people and a lot of big companies like Zillow, Realtor.com. Why do you think Zillow and Realtor.com, because they rate very high on searches, why do you think they buy ad buy? Because they don't have to. They appear on the first page. Why do you think they would do it?
To maintain their position.
To make it so expensive for you guys to do it that you won't do it. Mm. Right?
So they can sell us the leads.
So they can sell you the leads. Exactly. So they would rather you pay them than Google. All right. And then we're going to talk about ratings, reviews, and recommendations, which I believe is very important. How many of you actively seek reviews when you have a closing?
I do.
You do?
But I don't follow up with it as much as I should. I was talking to somebody, I don't know, a couple of weeks back, and they said, you know, lots of times you got to reach out 3 to 5 times for them to get the review.
Correct.
Lots of times it's all timing and trying to hit them when they're nice and emotional at the end of a close. But if you don't get it right, then it's like pulling teeth.
Well, and it's also, how do we make it as easy as possible for them to actually review you? Because if you just say, hey, go to Zillow and review me, or go to Yelp and review me, or go to Google, that the likelihood of them doing that isn't as high as if you actually gave them the link to do it.
That's what I do. Is I have my transaction coordinator send out 3 links to.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
But it's still hard to get them to do it. I need to follow up with that more.
Okay.
Brandon, I have a comment.
Yeah.
At my previous company, there was a link. I can't remember the company name, but they had a link in our email signature. So every time I sent an email, so I had quite a few reviews just by, correspondence, and they would click on my email and write a review there. I don't know if we have that option.
You absolutely do. So any email signature you have going out, you could have those links in there.
Okay.
Right? And so have you created an email signature now?
I don't have one now, no.
So that would be considered, to me, would be considered part of your online identity. Anytime you're communicating digitally or you want them to find you, I think that's it. It really comes down to controlling the information that the consumer sees about you. Because the majority of consumers are going to Google you. If you have a listing appointment with somebody, they're probably going to Google you and look and learn a little bit about you online. All right. And so when was the last time you Googled yourself?
Just now.
Just now. And
Yeah.
did you just do Wayne Lindsay?
No, I've got Wayne Lindsay, Nevada real estate agent. Then I got Signature. Then I got Zillow.
Right.
Then I
Right,
got
but when you typed in the search words, see, if you just type in your name, it's harder to actually come up, right? Because if you're like me, there are a lot of different Brandon Robertses across the country, across the world. So I'm a football coach. Thank goodness I'm on the first page when you search my name on my website, brandonroberts.com. The Signature NV site comes up. Wikipedia comes up, but not about me being a coach. So the coach is pretty aggressive in putting stuff out, but I'm on that first page, and that's good. So if somebody was just to type in my name, they would find me. Now, they would find me probably if they were in Vegas typing in my name, but if they weren't in the area, they may or may not. Because Google also uses your location on these searches to try to find the relevant stuff. And so I really want to make sure that when people type in Brandon Roberts and anything to do with real estate, realtor, real estate, Las Vegas real estate, that I dominate those pages, right, as best as I can. This is an ad, and then everything else seems to be me.
Hey,
which
no
is
problem with my name.
Nobody can spell it?
I type in my name, there's like thousands of pages there, so it's kind of interesting.
But when you type in Brandon Roberts Real Estate, there are about 8,290,000 results.
Wow.
Right? Just a few years, but they're not all me, right? It's going to start to pull all kinds of stuff, real estate, anything with Brandon, Roberts something, anything in it. But if you look just 4 years ago, when I did, this was Signature. Let's do it so it's accurate. Brandon Roberts Real Estate Group. $1,980,000. Okay, so 4 years ago, it was 291,000. So there's tons of content going on, and what happens is Google's going to look for the relevant stuff. And so the more you're putting out there, or the more updated your stuff is, the better chance you have of coming up in searches, right? And the information that you want to come up in that search. So if there's bad press or something bad that comes out about you, it will be there. But how do you get rid of it?
Keep putting out more stuff.
More content and bury it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it says there was a report put out by Google, Think Google, and it's house hunting season, and it's 6 key trends that this search reveals. If you just Google 6 key trends that this reveals, this whole report comes up. But in this report, it says 2 in 3 real estate searchers, okay, buyers, research and prospective agents extensively online prior to working with them. So in this, four plus years ago when this report came out, it was saying 2 out of every 3. And I would say it's probably a little higher than that now. It says, do you trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations? And it says 88% of consumers trust online reviews as much as personal recommendations. All right. And this, let me ask you, do you guys read reviews?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Do they influence your decisions?
Yep.
Sure.
Right. And so it's important that we're actively looking to get more reviews, and also that our online presence is what we want it to be, so that we control the message that the consumer sees.
Mhm.
We can't control all reviews that go out there, right?
Let me just get my husband here.
But we can, I'm gonna mute Wayne, but we can control the positive stuff that we put out. So 51% of millennials say consumer opinions found on a company's website have a greater impact on a purchasing decision than recommendations from their friend or family. And there was a couple years back, I went, and Alex was there actually too. We were at an Inman conference in New York, and we sat down, and they actually had young millennials come and sit down, and they actually interviewed them. And these guys were just out of high school, and they interviewed them and asked how they buy and how they think. And what they said was that they're doing the majority of their research online, right, to determine what they're going to buy. And then they're going to the store, to a salesman and that type of stuff for the experience.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So you may give the best service possible, but if you don't represent that online, you never get the opportunity to work with a lot of these people. So how many pages deep do people go on search engines? And 91%, and I would say it's probably higher than that, just find something on the first page. Very small percentage of them dig to the second and third page. The only time I go to the second, third page, you never go, right? The only time I did was this morning when I was seeing how far deep I went, right?
Totally.
With my stuff. All right. Like I said, there's 291,000 results when this search was done. And how do you differentiate yourself on that? Sorry, here we go. Same slides. So when we want to create a map, basically, to map out our online identity. These are the things that are going to be important when and I got all these pop-ups. All right, when we're laying this out. So your online identity has different arms, so to speak. So we've got our website. How many of you have a personal website?
I do.
Okay, that is up to date, that you're actively using, that's generating business for you. Okay.
No.
We've got social media. So that'd be our Facebook. That'd be, we're going to separate LinkedIn because I think LinkedIn works a little bit different than most social media. So you got your social media, which would be maybe Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, different things like that. That's a perception of how people view you, and you have control on what that message is. Then you have LinkedIn, which I think is really underutilized in our industry as for real estate agents, but I think a lot of the consumers out there use it. And it really is like the Facebook for business. And so people go there when they're looking for a professional. Then you got your search portals, which would be like your Realtor.com, your Zillow, your Trulia. Like them, love them, hate them, it doesn't matter. They're here, and consumers are on those sites. And so you have to be on that site. And you can be there without having to pay. And you can have a good presence without having to pay. Now, obviously, if you pay, you can get a better, better exposure, but you still need to be there. And then ratings and review sites, such as Google. You can even be reviewed on Facebook, Yelp, Zillow, Realtor.com. How many of you have a Google business page? That's a place you can be reviewed. Now, if I were an agent and I was looking to say, where would be the best place for me to get reviews? Like if I wanted to drive my consumers or my clients directly to one place to start, like I'd like them to review me on everything, but they're probably not going to. And so where would be the place that you would put them first? Site you would direct them to put a review first.
I've always done Zillow, but I feel like Google's kind of getting to be more important than Zillow.
Okay, so, and this could be wrong, but my opinion's been for a company like Signature, Google is where we need to be. For an agent, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, those are the platforms you need to be on with good reviews. And why is because that's where the consumer is that's directly your client, right? Now, what happens is everybody goes and creates a Google business page. And so it'll be Brandy Thompson Signature Real Estate Group and Alex Sinig Signature Real Estate Group and Brandon Roberts Signature Real Estate Group. All these on Zillow or I'm on Google, and then Signature Real Estate Group actually gets lost.
Mm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I think it's important that you're on Google, but I think, and I think it's important that you get ratings and reviews there. I also think it's important that the people that go there to rate you and review are definitely ones that are going to give you a high mark. Okay. And then Yelp, I believe every agent should be on Yelp too. And then articles and content. This is the other arm for your online identity, which would be, how many of you get calls every week from the newspaper or somebody to interview you? Doesn't happen a lot, right? So how do you get articles and content out on the internet? Start a blog, right? You can put content on the internet. You can take and put content on LinkedIn. But if you're not putting it out there, see, you guys have got to be your best critics. You guys have got to be the one to get that message out because they're not knocking down your door to do it. So we got to get out there and do it for ourselves, right? And we can control the message, and you can become that expert in the industry or that expert in that subdivision or that neighborhood or that type of home or first-time home buyers or whatever it is that you want your niche to be or what you're working. All right. So if we go back and we say, okay, the first thing we should do to do this is start updating our bio. And this says here, Google is the most common search terms to find you. So you want to start with Googling yourself and trying to find you where you come up on stuff. You want to update and enhance all your existing content about you, right? So when I look at this, it says, my bio back then said, I'd been in the industry for 15 years or 15 plus years. Well, I've been in the industry almost 23 years now. And so it's important that I'm updating the stuff in there so it's relevant. So that means if you're putting date specific stuff in, you should be doing this on a yearly or a semi-annual basis. Okay. You want to start creating intentional content about you on your site and on other sites. Okay. So a good example of other sites was Active Rain, right? And I'm not saying that that's going to make a comeback or anything. It's just that would have been a site where I could go and blog. You can go to Trulia and you can answer real estate questions from consumers. You see what I mean? You can start engaging on other sites so that you're found. You can start engaging on other Facebook pages so that you're found. All right? Anything that has specific to do with what real estate or anything that you can kind of become that expert in. But making a conscious effort to put yourself out there on those other sites. And then you want to share the content with your customers, your past clients, your social sites. So it's not enough that I went out and did a YouTube video and I posted it on YouTube. And then I hope that all my sphere of influence finds me and finds it. How do I make sure that they see it?
Send it to them.
Send it to them. Post it on social media. Make a big deal. You drive people to that site in hopes that they'll find value, they'll subscribe to it, and then they'll become active on it. Okay.
Yeah, that's one thing I've never done, Brandon. I mean, I heard that blogging's awesome, but it's just like I just got a new site. I got to figure out how to interact with that. So
Mhm.
it's plugging them back into that because it's got the IDX and everything else there.
Yeah, it's important because it's fresh content that goes on your site. It's your opportunity to put keywords on your site that come up in searches. You know, if you did a blog on a new ice cream shop that just opened up in a subdivision that you work, right, that you farm, if somebody was to Google that shop, there's a chance you come up. You see what I mean? They're not even looking for real estate, but you come up. And then they could be like, well, I am looking for real estate in that area, or they start looking in that neighborhood and your name keeps coming up. They're more likely to reach out to you, okay? It's not the end all be all, but I would hate somebody not to work with me because I didn't have a presence online, or there was something online that didn't match my values. So I think it's good that you're aware of what's out there and that you're making a conscious effort to develop the content on there that represents you and your brand the way you want it to be. Okay, so LinkedIn, how many of you are active on LinkedIn?
I'm pretty active.
Okay.
Look at it.
Yeah, you look at it, you accept the invites, and maybe, you know, you look at all the messages for, hey, you've been at Signature for a year now or 2 years, or, you know, congratulations on your job anniversary, from all these people that you don't know, right? Now, every time I've used LinkedIn and actually worked it, I've actually gotten business from it. But it is the platform that is probably most neglected or most put aside. I neglect it. In fact, on my phone today, if I look at my LinkedIn app, I have 344 unanswered notifications. And I think it's, you can pay for it. There's other things you can do, but if you do nothing else on it, just make sure all your information on it is proper. It represents you. It represents exactly what you want to get out there in the message. There are places on there to be able to put videos. There are places on there to be able to put blog entries. And I would make sure that I'm posting a blog entry or something to do with real estate on my page, not in the timeline necessarily. You can do that as much or as little as you want, but in some of these other sections, at least once a month. So you start to gain content. So the other one is so we got LinkedIn there. We've got our website. You all were given a Simplest website, okay, when you join Signature. And that is a website that's IDX functional, which means anyone can go there and search. It's very easy to update your picture. It's very easy to update your bio. It's very easy to create pages on that site to make it nice. You can have the blog option on it. So you can blog. That site will do just about anything you want. And you can get with Simplest and do customizations as well if you really want to get into it. Now, I'm not saying that Simplest is the best site for you to use or not to use. It's one that's given to you at no extra charge to you. So there, for one, you have no excuse not to have a website. And then for two, it has the tools that you need, so it's there. Now, if you want to use other sites, there's nothing that says you can only have one website, right? You could have multiple websites. You could use your Simplest website and whatever other website you want to use. But at least if I did nothing, I would update it for the chance of that coming up as one of those search results on that page. A chance for somebody to find me on another web portal. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so we did it. We bought it for everybody in the company. We put over 500 people on this site. I just deleted almost 400 people that had never logged into Simplest for an entire year. Entire year, a free tool to help you with your online identity, and nobody's ever used it. About 100 and some odd have used it, but I deleted everyone else. So why I'm telling you that is, if you go now to try to find your site and it's not there, you were one of them. But all is not lost. If you want that, email me and we will get you reset up, but you need to make a commitment that you're going to update it and use it.
Yeah.
I don't need you to log into it all the time, but I do need you to take the basic information off of it and put your information up there.
Would you suggest, like, say I've got that other one it's just part of my, the one to just track all my people, whatchamacallit, FirePoint.
Yeah.
Anyway, that one comes with the IDX and they're able to do all that other stuff. That being said, with the simplest, would you suggest maybe another name to try to be creative enough to pull in other content or other ways for people to grab you and then link
Another web domain?
Or
Yeah, I would use another web domain.
okay.
Yeah, I would. But here's the thing. So on your business cards, on your email signature, on your flyers, on your signs, everywhere that you're going to put your website, you determine which website you want to put out there to drive traffic to. And what I would say is if I was using FirePoint and they had a website and it dumped into my CRM and it all worked that way and it was all congruent and it did everything I needed to do, that's the site I'd probably market. Right?
Right.
But if I'm not going to necessarily market the signature site that was given to me, at least it's updated and there's a chance to find it. I did a Google search on me this morning and it came up with the property. I did my name, Las Vegas Real Estate, and it came up with the property. It's not my listing. But I clicked on it and guess what? It was actually a listing that was by one of our agents. It was from our company site, but my name came up. So now when they're looking at it, I don't really list property anymore. But if, let's say I'm more of a buyer's agent and I want to get into listings, but I don't have a lot, and I have all these people all the time say, can I advertise other people's listings? Well, with their permission, you can, but on a Google search, if it comes up, it appears like it's all your stuff. If they click into it, they may see that person, but they're going to see Tim Lowe and they're going to see listings and all kinds of other stuff. And they're going to just assume that Tim Lowe is very busy.
Right.
And he is, but it'll back that up. Does that make sense?
Sure.
So there's
Brandon,
nothing that says you can only have one website.
I had a question about that when you said that your name came up with somebody else's listing and it wasn't even yours. Why would it do that? I'll give you an example on mine. It happened that I went to a listing appointment 5 years ago. I never got the listing. The guy listed with somebody else, and I keep getting notifications to update my listing on Google.
Because there is some reason when they Google that listing or whatever, that it links to you somewhere. Your name is in there somewhere in an article, something that links it. And that's how it's coming up.
That's why yours is coming up with other agents from your office?
What it is this. So we have our company website, signaturenevada.com.
Okay.
Everybody that is an agent that got a website that is still active is linked to that.
Okay.
Right? We have IDX on that as well. And so if there was a property that searched a lot on our website, it's going to rank high with Google. And if I search Tim Lowe and he's ranked on my site, there's a possibility that Tim Lowe and that website come up together.
Okay.
You see what I'm saying? And so it's about putting as much content out there as you can on the sites you want that control the content that you want to be out there.
Okay.
And so, but you can see, like, this is the first page of Brandon Roberts' Las Vegas Real Estate. There's the active rain. I got Reach 150, which is another review site.
How did you like Reach 150?
I personally didn't think it was a big thing for a lot of, but it was very easy to send links to people to get people to review you.
Okay.
And then there was other sites and things that would use it as a plug-in to pull the information over. And so there's a lot of good to it. I just thought it was a lot of money for it personally. But again, I still got reviews out there and it's still coming up. The problem is it still says it's not been updated. But I used it differently than you guys would probably have used it. I sent it to all the agents.
Right.
And so I've got reviews from all of the agents that work with us, telling everyone how great I am. You know what I mean? Because who's my customer? You guys.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? Our job is to get agents that want to work in our store, so to speak, and we provide you with the services and tools and everything for you to deal with your customer, which is who? The buyers and sellers, right? So again, don't limit it to just one website. If you get a free website, update it, put it together. You don't have to run it every day, but make sure it's on your list so you update it every year. Buying a domain, like Tim was saying, if you're fortunate enough to get your first and last name, I would buy it.
Okay.
Okay. I don't know why I bought this 20 years ago. I bought BrandonRoberts.com 20 years ago before anything. And there's a lender out of California that's Brandon Roberts. He's offered me a ton of money for the name. But I bought it cheap. I've just renewed it and kept it. So I was lucky enough to be able to get it. If I was to try to get it now, I'm sure it would have been gone. But if you can get your name, then I would. Because if somebody's searching you, that just the name alone is going to help you in the search result.
And then Brandon, can you link that to the signature page?
Yes.
Of,
Yes.
Okay.
So actually, if you go to, I'll show you, BrandonRoberts.com. That is my simplest page.
Okay.
Okay. And so right now, it would be something like brandonroberts.signaturenevada.com. That's your domain that's given to you, unless you change it. And I would say change it because you want to make sure that it's easy and people can remember it to get there.
Yeah.
And then I would say if you're going to use brandonroberts.com or timlow.com or whatever it is, your email address should match that, as you want to drive people to that site. Okay. This was my old brandonroberts.com. It was just done on, what's the name of that company? It'll come to me in a second. But it was just a simple template site. I selected template, put all the information in. In reality, right now, Simplest is so much easier to do than some of these other sites, especially the older brands. But the important thing is make sure you have a site, make sure it's updated. Then I would say, if you're going to use social media at all for marketing, it needs to show that you're in real estate. Right? It needs to show that you're in real estate. It doesn't have to be your timeline or your banner and your picture, but something has got to be on there that you're in real estate. Okay. Consider buying a domain name with your name in it and redirecting it to your website. If your brokerage has a website, consider setting up an About Me site. So if the other thing that you can set up is there's a site out there. It's called About Me, about.me, and you can actually set up a profile bio on that. Why would you want to do that?
More content.
It's free, right? It's free and there's more content. There's more of a chance that you're going to come up in searches. Sounds like a lot of work though, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And so really it comes down to let's break this down in steps, and you can't conquer this all in a week, but we could start to take steps to that.
And it would be nice to have a task list on which ones you think are the most important to nail down first. And well, I know that's putting a lot on your plate on that one.
No, I'll tell you right now, 3 of them.
Okay.
Your website, Zillow, and Realtor.com. Those would be the 3 I'd start with right now.
What was the first one?
Your website.
Okay.
LinkedIn was another one that you brought up that I thought that was very
Then
interesting.
after I did those, then I would move to the social media stuff.
Okay.
Okay. To make sure that my social media profile is where it needs to be as well. Okay. So your bio is more important than you realize in delivering a first impression online. It's the elevator pitch people read when learning about you. It is exactly what you want people to know about you, right? Your opportunity to tell them how great you are. So there is a 10-step bio writing checklist. I have a Dropbox link that I'll send out to all of you guys, and I'll also show you where it'll be posted online. That you'll have access to this, and also a couple other booklets to help you out through stuff. But the 10-step checklist is basically describe your audience that you're writing for. We need to understand who we want this bio to go to. We want to Google other people in our field. So other people that are working in real estate that have a good online presence, let's find out what they're saying about themselves. Okay. We want to make a list of everything that we've done. We want to prioritize that list, and you're going to get this stuff, so you don't really have to write it down, but you're going to prioritize yourself, prioritize that list of the things that you want to make sure that's in that bio. You're going to write your bio in third person. You're going to start it with your name, what you do, okay? And what you do is not, hey, I sell real estate. It might be that you specialize in working with first-time home buyers, whatever it is, okay? Why are you a big deal? What makes you interesting? And a call to action. Okay, so if you look at this, if you look at the top, Tim, you've got the websites on the left and you got the search portals on the right. That's where I would start, the two top. And then I would come into the social media, which would be your Facebook. If you use Twitter, your YouTube, everyone should have a YouTube channel. You should not be afraid of video anymore. Is anyone afraid of video?
Sometimes.
Sometimes? Okay, well, we're going to have you in the office and for a week, and we're just going to film all day long until you get over it. Because here's the thing. You just got to be putting content out. That's what it's all about. If you listen to Gary Vee online, all these big time trainers and speakers and all that stuff, it's all about the content you're putting out, the message you're putting out. Who you are is what people are reading and digesting that you put out, right? And if you're not putting anything out, nobody knows who you are.
Yeah, you got to put a lot of video out. That's a fact. I put out tons of video all the time, and it doesn't have to be perfect. I never edit my video unless I really mess it up. But I just shoot it the way it is. I misspell things. I say the wrong thing, and all that, because it's natural. And I think people are going to look for that on how natural. You don't need to be over polished or anything like that. So it's very, very key. My daughter is studying video production, and I challenged her one day to go ahead and shoot a video. She was really nervous and everything. And then last Friday, she was on a radio show because somebody saw her on that video and invited her to run the radio show last Friday. So she got a gig to run the radio show because she shot that video a month ago. So, you never know what happens, how people are going to recognize you.
I'll tell you what. So Shelly Panzarella, Prosperity Lending, right? She does the Mortgage Moment. And we were shooting it when Jesse and Beta were working and all that stuff. We were shooting it and they were editing it and putting it up for her. During the quarantine, obviously she's at home. She's not coming in. Beta's in San Diego and Jesse took another job. And so it's not there. So she starts working with her daughter, Sydney, and I notice what Sydney does, right? And she does a great, great job. So guess who edited the sales meeting yesterday? Not the parts that you couldn't hear the sound. That was me. But the interview between the appraiser and them, that was all done by her daughter.
That was great. She actually was on point with the audio too. With when he was speaking, it would utilize that camera and then go back to Shelly. I took note of that. That was pretty good. So
she's like 13 years old, but I saw what she could do, and now she's going to come do a lot of stuff for us. And if I could get Chantel, Alex's daughter, to move out here, she'd work for us too.
Yeah, I gave her that option.
Yeah.
To go to Vegas,
She just thought you were trying to get rid of her, though.
Yeah.
But the other reason you want to be on YouTube is because who owns YouTube? Google.
Google.
Google owns YouTube. So do you think videos are going to come up in search results? The answer is yes. Okay. The answer is yes. And a lot of people are learning a lot of stuff on YouTube. Video cameras that I'm trying to learn now. And I needed to learn how to I needed to figure out how to format a card. I spent an hour and a half one day trying to figure it out, could never figure it out. I came in, I Googled it, YouTube video came up, and within 30 seconds, I knew how to format that card. Right? And so people are Googling all kinds of stuff about real estate, all kinds of stuff. So I would say you need to be on there and make sure that that's happened. But update your profiles so that they know you're in real estate and it represents you. The other thing I'd say on social media, and I think we'll cover it a little bit later too, but is stay away from the negative conversations, stay away from politics, stay away from religion, stay away from anything that's controversial. And I'm not saying don't have an opinion. I'm just saying just be careful what you put out there, because it will affect you, maybe good, maybe bad, but it will affect you in your business.
The other thing since you mentioned that, Brandon, is that I've had people, because I'm advertising on Facebook about if you want to sell your house, so I'm getting some leads, and I have people put some, very nasty comments and stuff. So I just delete them. I get them off of there, because you got to watch what people put on your site. I have unfriended several people that made some derogatory comments about stuff that has nothing to do with me, but they just put it on my site because I have a lot of people that follow me. So, you got to be careful on who puts on what onto your site.
100%. And there's a setting, and I'll show it to you. There's a setting to actually, that only things go on your timeline is only things you approve. Okay. That doesn't apply to comments on your post though. And that doesn't apply to threads of other people's stuff where you've commented, right? So be very careful what you put out in the conversations you engage in. You engage on somebody else's site or their thread. The only control you have is to delete your post.
Right.
But at that point, the damage may be done. Okay. How many of you have a business page?
Just through Signature.
Okay, so mine is obviously updated so that it is compliant with the state laws now. It does have my license number in my title, okay? Because it's important that you have that they know your company in that. So the reason I put it in the title is because now every post you do that has to do with real estate or any sort of marketing for real estate has got to have your license number and your company name.
Oh, you're talking about Facebook.
Facebook, right?
Yeah. Oh,
your
yeah.
business.
Oh.
And so if it's Brandon Roberts - Signature Real Estate Group and then 014, my license number, then when I post something, it's automatically here. So I'm automatically compliant. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Also, if somebody was to share this post somewhere else, I'm still compliant.
Okay, so I got a question for you. I know that they were trying to figure out what specifically needs to go in that, whether you put the zeros in front of the dot or if it's NVRE, then your dot whatever.
So what is your license number?
I think it's 00.44526.
Okay, and are you so you go BS dot.
That cracks me up too. I know most people, I don't like to put BS in front of it, just,
But you have to.
Right.
BS dot, and then you can drop the zeros and just put the numbers.
Okay, can you put NVRE BS?
You can, but it's not required.
I think I will, just because I don't like the bullshit in front of it.
Right.
My maiden name was Sylvie, so my initials were BS, and I got a lot growing up.
Yeah. So, but if you put all that in your thing, then you don't have to worry about putting it in the content every time you write a post. If it's not in your name, then you better put it in the content of your post. Okay, kind of like a signature line in your email, you need a signature line in all your posts. And that goes for your business page, and that goes for your personal too. One of the number one compliance issues we get from the division, from any signature agent, is Facebook posts.
Even on the personal, huh? You gotta have
personal, everything. And I'm going to tell you, it's because the bigger we get, the better you get, the more real estate you sell, somebody's going to be jealous of you. Somebody's going to report you for something. It's going to happen.
Should we have the signature real estate group and our license number and our personal name, or just in it on any real estate related posts?
You should always have your name, right? You don't want them to call Signature Real Estate. You want them to call you. So
Right,
Brandon
but
Thompson, Signature Real Estate Group, and your license number.
so that should be on our personal name as well?
No.
Oh, okay.
If all you're going to post on your personal page is business stuff, you might as well just have a business page anyway. But if that's what you were gonna do, then yeah, I would say that. But you're not always. But if you look at Kathy Rojas, she's one of the agents here. She always puts in every post, whether it's real estate or not, on her personal, she always puts in the content, Kathy Rojas, Signature Real Estate Group, and her license number and her phone number on everything.
Okay.
Okay. And so she's just putting it out there. She's compliant. There's no misconception. She's going to be compliant on everything, even if she doesn't need to do it because it's not real estate.
Oh,
But
it
that's
reminds
the
people
choice she's
a
made,
realtor,
right?
too.
I'm not saying you have to do that. But if it has to do with real estate, you do.
Okay.
And that would probably mean, I shouldn't say probably, that would mean if you're sharing an article from the Review Journal about what the market is, right? You've just shared it onto your page. You probably better have your information on there, and you better have your license number. It's $500 each event. It gets expensive. Now, we've been lucky. We've gotten warnings on most of this stuff. So if you get a phone call from Vandana or your broker or anybody in management, just take care of it. We're not trying to pick on anybody or argue with anybody. It's 99% of the time we've gotten an email from Jan Hawley at the division, and that's what we're covering. Your page info, make sure that's all filled out. This is a good tip that I learned a few years back too, is use fewer email addresses for published content in social sites. So if I go and I create my Facebook page, okay, and I use this email for all my social media stuff and everything that I put out there on the internet. Also because it's also what I use that's where I want all my spam to go anyway. I use LasVegasBrandon@gmail.com. When I register for my Facebook page, when I register for my LinkedIn page, when I register for anything, everything has that. And the reason being is because as Google searches, and it takes that common email address on all these sites, it can put them together to say that's you. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
So if it goes and says, okay, Brandon Roberts, Facebook, this email matches Brandon Roberts on this Google page, and it matches Brandon Roberts on this blog, they can comfortably say this is the same person. And they're starting to say that, okay, you're putting a lot of content out on real estate. You should rank higher in real estate than somebody that doesn't.
Mm.
Right. So always be positive when posting. Like I said, stay away from the political stuff. As much as you want to reply, don't. Please don't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and Alex said to be conscious of what people are posting on your page. And if you actually go into the settings on your Facebook and you click on there, you can say timeline and tagging on the left there, and you can say who can post on your timeline, and only you. Okay, or and then it'll come up for you to review it so you can accept if it goes on your timeline or not. So if Tim went in there and said he started writing on my timeline anything, it will come up, or he tags me in a post or a picture or anything else. It's not going to appear on my timeline unless I accept it. It's not going to say that it's not going to appear on his, it's just not going to appear on mine. Okay, LinkedIn. Big thing on LinkedIn is just make sure you're putting it together. I've got a cheat sheet for LinkedIn Profile Builder. Again, it'll be in that Dropbox folder link that I'm going to send to you guys so that you guys can access all that. Then your search portals, obviously, Realtor.com. Most people are not updating that. And I have to ask why. It's free. It's got realtor.com in it, which is a highly searched site. And we all agree that if you don't have pictures and information about a property, nobody's going to look at it, especially online.
Mm-hmm.
Why aren't we doing this, right? So realtor.com, all the stuff. You've got a profile manager, manage your listings. Let me see if it shows. Okay, so we're going to log in for agents. If you just click the login button, you're not going to get there, right? Log in for agents, and then it'll take you through this process. If you forgot your username and password, there's ways to recover that so that you have it. Just go through your profile manager. You can manage your listings. You can buy products from them through there. Your About Me section, you update it. Put in all of the zip codes you work. Okay, you're going to put in keywords like brokerage, property management, residential, training agents, whatever it is, first-time home buyers, Seven Hills, Centennial Hills, wherever you work, all that stuff needs to be put in there. All those zip codes, when you started, what's your website, everything. Just fill it all in. And then you're able to link all your social media pages to it, right? And this helps you also with Google finding out who you are. And then ratings and reviews. You do that same thing with Zillow, okay, and Trulia. Any of those search portals, go through, build out your profile, make it what you want, make sure your photo is on there. And the key also to Zillow, GLVR signed an agreement with Zillow a while back to upgrade so that your listings appear as you as the listing agent. So if Tim takes a listing, it'll say listing agent Tim. It'll still have 3 or 4 other agents that have bought ad space, right? But he's on the page. But the way that Zillow knows it's you, or from GLVR, the feed, is when you set up your Zillow profile, it has to be the same email address that you use for GLVR. That makes sense?
Yeah.
So if I use my Las Vegas Brandon over here on Zillow and I use Brandon at Signature NV over here, it's not going to link up. So if you're looking and you're saying, I don't appear as a listing agent on any of my listings, that's probably the issue. Make sense?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Then ratings and reviews, I would say make sure you set up a Yelp profile. Download the business app so that when it's not the Yelp app, it's the business app, so that when you get a review, it notifies you on your phone so you can respond to it. It may not be what you want to hear, but it gives you the opportunity to respond. And then if it violates any of the terms or it isn't you or it has nothing to, you need to report it so it comes off your thing. And I'll give you an example. So we do property management, right? And so a lot of any negative reviews that we get are going to be what? 99.9% it has to do with property management.
Sure.
And almost 100% of the time it has to deal with the tenant. And it usually has to do with the tenant that moved out and thought they should have got all their security deposit back because they left the property just immaculate and perfect, even though they didn't, right? What they don't understand is we don't get any of that money. We don't keep it. The owner doesn't get it. It's used for repairs and whatever is returned to them. So nobody's out to steal their deposit. But that's where those reviews are going to come in. But sometimes we might get you might get a review on Tim Lowe Signature Real Estate that has to do with property management, and he doesn't do property management. It's because somebody just did Signature Real Estate. It came up, they posted it, and he got the review on his timeline. That makes sense? And so he can argue that that's not his customer, that's not his client, and he can get that removed. But if you're never reviewing this stuff and you're not notified, then you don't even know it's there and somebody else sees it. Okay? And then articles and content, obviously you want to write blogs. You want to put that stuff out there. Any questions?
I have a question. So back to the email signature to where they can write a review. Would I link that up? Do I need to purchase something like Testimonial Tree or something to get that link active again?
On which site?
I used to use Testimonial Tree, which was a complimentary service with my former brokerage.
Mhm.
But obviously, since I'm not there anymore, I don't have that. So I know I can purchase it. Do I need to do that to link that, or do we have something I can use?
So on our website, there isn't a place for reviews, but there is a place for testimonials. Okay.
Right, but I mean to link it with my email signature. Is there a link I can copy and paste like I had before?
So, okay, so if I was going to use Zillow, then I would get the link from Zillow to post in there.
Okay.
Realtor.com, Google, you have a link to every one of those sites has a link to those pages. Like a testimonial tree or a Reach 150, what they are is they say, okay, here's one portal they can come in and we'll push it to these sites, right? But if they don't push it to Zillow or Realtor.com or the sites that you need them on, it's really not of use to you.
I see. Okay.
I mean, it's not bad, but if you want people, see, if I was selling real estate, I would want people to review me first on Zillow.
Okay.
The reason being because when I take a listing, right, it's going to say how many reviews I have when I appear as the listing agent, and I can guarantee you the 3 people buying ad space all have more reviews than you.
Okay.
And so when you're looking at that, you're at a disadvantage right now because you have 0 reviews or you only have 1 or 2 reviews. Right? So we've got to build that up. And the way to build that up is to direct people to where we want to build that up.
Okay.
And that may change over time. As you build that up, you might want to focus on Yelp now or whatever. I bought a Lexus a few years back. Great customer service. Probably the best experience I ever had in buying a car. And I continued after they said, congratulations, Chantel.
yeah, they changed the graduation. She just picked up her gown and her cap and everything today. She's
doing
so
it on
excited.
Zoom. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Yeah. Okay.
Where was I? I was talking about shoot. Alex threw me off.
Your Lexus.
Oh, Lexus. That was the best experience ever. And after I bought the car, they sent me a thing to review them on Google. And then after I reviewed them on Google, a couple days later, I got something to review them on Yelp. And then after I did that, I got a couple days later, I got to review them on another site and another site. And pretty quick, it was like, okay, I'm not reviewing them anymore. You kind of get tired of it. But they got like 3 or 4 reviews out of me because I was happy and they were putting it on. But they started with the one they wanted the most, right? And they work through that process. And that's what I would do if I was you.
Okay.
And so if Linktree is going to do that for you, then yeah, it might be something that you subscribe to or Reach 150 or whatever. There's a few of them out there.
Okay.
Okay.
I
Now,
think you could grab the link for your personal on most of those sites and link them up just and send them in a general email.
correct. Yeah, and you can create a nice email, HTML so that it doesn't show the link, it shows a button similar to this here. It says click here now. So it could be review me and click here now. And it can be a template in BombBomb or Constant Contact or Firepoint or wherever email system you have that's set up always so you can just send them out.
Okay.
Last thing I wanted to show you before we let you go today is we've got the signature coaching page, right, where you guys come in, you report, and there's a ton of forms on here, and you may be using a lot of them or you don't have to, but they're here and we're going to go through them and ask your coach on a more in depth. But what I wanted to show you is the other portion of the site we wanted to make sure that we put up was the training and the archivability of this kind of stuff, right? This isn't like a formal production training that's going to be distributed out. But what we will do is under the video training link up here in the top, we will start posting the stuff in here. Okay, so if you can't get on a Wednesday call, I would prefer you to get on them because you can ask questions and engage. But if you can't or you want to go back to anything, it's going to be right here. So the realestatepad.com under the video training, And Alex and I will continue to put stuff up along with Chris and Todd, the other two coaches, and we'll just continue to go. Okay. So this is where you'll find it. The other thing is you will get let me see if I can.
And they got to make sure that they go to that page and fill it in before the next call.
Yeah.
To make sure that you go to the first section there. The return and report. So Julie, you go to that today, and then you fill that in, and then that will come to me automatically, so I can look
Julie's
at it.
been doing a pretty good job of that.
Yeah.
There's 3 forms that preferably we'd love to have for each coaching call. Would be your return and your report, your high value targets, and your ATMs. Your return report is basically saying, how did this last week go? And what do I need help with? Your HVTs are saying, these are the things in business that I want to make sure I get done this week. And your ATMs are, these are the things I'm going to do daily on a schedule to try to balance out my life and my business. Okay. The process we haven't covered, the process you can play with. It's really, if you get frustrated with something, just want to work the process on it. Just answer the questions. It'll ask you how you feel and just be honest. Anger, cuss words, it doesn't matter. How do you feel right now in this moment? And it'll walk you through to ultimately, what do you want to get from the situation? And it'll, nine times out of 10, you'll figure out a solution to whatever's bothering you right there, or be able to cope with it.
Nice.
Yeah, we can't help you if you don't communicate. Okay.
Right.
Don't be a secret agent, 000.
And then obviously these down here, I'm reworking and working a lot of, but we have current reality, which are newer to it. It's where you work through the process and it tells you where you are today. So for instance, we're going to talk about financial. You go into current reality and you're going to work on your financial, and it's just going to ask you a series of probably 30 to 40 questions, and it'll give you a clear picture of where you are today and where it'll open it up so you can start to plan to do your seasons. So if you're having trouble setting up the seasons, don't let all this stuff overwhelm you. Just start with your return and reports and working with the coach, and then the coach can kind of guide you through this and take it step by step. But important thing is use the site, it's there for you, and we're going to continue to put more tools and stuff up there for you. Okay.
Okay.
Anything else, you guys? No?
That's a good content.
All right.
Yeah.
It's a matter of plugging it in.
Thank you, Brandon.